All right. So GIS works that way. You can represent things by what we call the vector, or you can represent by the raster. Okay. Did I resume recording? I did. Let me pause it. Okay, let's take the attendance now. Since I don't have too many people, I can take the attendance now. Oh no, that will be fair. Let's wait for the others. All right, so let's just continue then. All right, pause recording. Okay, so there you go. So a tree represents as points, a pole points, fire plus points. A line, streams are like lines. Okay, they are moving. There's a river here. That river is the same river you find about there. So by just the way you look at the object and the way it's elongating, you can literally see it looks like a line. Let me put it that way. Areas are regions. So once you can talk about a region, are you okay? You say, this is my region. So even if when we say region, like the 10, how many regions we have now? Are you okay? We have more than 10 now. Are you okay? They are areas. So it's a way to think. Yeah, it's always a way to think. The models are always a way to think. Land parcels. A parcel of land is not like a line. It's like an area where you are going to put up your building. It's always an area. So that is GIS for you. Vector, raster. Okay. And these are just, so here we are. You can see the attribute table for a particular location, highlighted in blue. All the things you selected, the GIS is giving us on the table. So this one, unless you use the software, you can appreciate it. But like I said, in engineering surveying, we had no business talking about GIS, but then we do have a justification for talking about it. Are you okay? And so you are not going to get any practical at all, but try to appreciate that there is something like that. Is that okay? All right, now projection, map projection, what we call project coordinates, projection system. Are you okay? All right, coordinate reference system. Okay, and it actually involves projecting the round Earth onto a flat surface. The method by which the curved 3D surface of the Earth is represented by SY coordinates. That's called projection. The map scale is a ratio of distance on the map to the equivalent distance on the ground. This one we should know it. Accuracy is how well the database is informed. These are all GIS related things. Are you okay? And they are very important. What I'm teaching you now, if you learn it and you take it seriously, you need it. In fact, you need it for your life. You need it also for level 400. As a course you do, and if you understand some of this, then it becomes easier. It reduces the burden. Then resolution is the size of the smallest feature recognized to be recognized. For raster data, it's the pixel size. In other words, resolution is how well we're able to represent something. Are you okay? So you resolve. Are you okay? So the resolution of a camera normally, are you okay, is determined by how well an object can be distinguished. Are you okay? And in fact, the unit of measure of resolution will be the size of the pixel. Are you okay? So the pixel size determines the resolution, literally. So if I take a camera, I think I won't talk about it in this class. Just let me move on. Okay. Otherwise, you're going to get to another level. But know that resolution is the reason why people buy iPhone, expensive phones. That's one of the reasons. Bigger screens, high resolution. Are you okay? All right. So yeah, GIS is, these are all our outputs from display. We are displaying geographical data, except that the one in the bottom left, the black and white panchromatic one, is actually not coming from some kind of GPS work. It's coming from something like either a remote sensing or a drone photogrammetry. Is that okay? All these will feed into our projects. Like I said, think about it in engineering surveying wise. Are you okay? Excuse me. So here's an overlay. You see the red lines you are looking at are were probably done by one company. The image was also taken by another company on a particular satellite mission launched by some rocket some years back. See how the two are beautifully coming together. And you can see the lines are falling in place. That's the beauty of doing what we call overlay. Excuse me. Okay, so that is overlay. Overlay layers. Once you talk about the word overlay, remember layers. Layers are overlaid. Okay, overlay layers. Put it in your mind. All right. So here more, you can see we had some kind of analysis is going on. Okay, but hey, I'm not going to bother you with it. Parcels within a half mile buffer of Park and Central. You know, like this is what I want to do this afternoon with my class. So, well, feel free and come and join the class if you have passed this course. If you haven't passed it, don't come. All right. So this is the data table that relates to the analysis. So this is how beautiful GIS can be. All right. So we can actually think with it, not get too emotional. Like currently there's this thing going on. People are killing people everywhere. Instead of us to analyze it, we are there. Look at what we are doing. Anyway, this is engineering surveying. I have to keep my focus. All right. So now you can see that there's a lot that's happening. Look at it. The picture, all these are like attributes to the location. You get it? And so on. That's it. GIS, please, guys. This is it. GIS software, and they vary. You can see a lot of them here. We have ArcMap, GIS is ArcMap, MapInfo, Integraph, Bentley. Autodesk is doing his own thing. They have, you see, these are businesses. Okay. They are the so-called, not the so-called, they are the actual commercial software, proprietary software. You buy them, you pay for licenses to use them, etc. Except if your university buys it, then that's a different thing altogether. All right, so raster GIS, there are different software that does vector IOK as opposed to raster. So you have a list of them. Okay. I'll give you this PowerPoint. You see what you can get from it. All right. So as for Esri, they have become like the mother of, I don't know, GIS software. Everywhere you find them. All right. But of course, the other software that works. Okay, guys. So in engineering surveying, GIS, you're supposed to just understand a few things. Okay, what GIS is, how it relates to other technologies, the fact, what does it do? Okay, collecting, storing, and all that. What's the GIS model? Okay, and then you understand the maps are a result of, you know, representing our world. Okay, to a certain scale. Basic. Don't think far. Don't even go deeper than you need to. It's okay. Everything that I've talked about so far. All right. So that's it. If you don't have any questions, I'll move on. I'll move on with this one. Let's talk about hydrographic surveying. I'm going to be taking attendance. Tell your friends who were part of this class that they should come back, because I'll take it that they never attended this class. Please, if you love them, you can do that favor. I told you I don't like lies. Stay in a class. Stop playing with the lecturer. He'll play with you. I mean, if you play, it's like playing with a lion. You see, it's not a good, you know, activity. It's not a good endeavor to be playing with a lion. Okay, I'm not saying I'm a lion person, but it's just a literary device. All right. So there you go. Hydrographic surveying. One of the things the reason I want to talk about this one is that when you're an engineer and they take you to the sea to go and construct, say, the sea defense wall, that's all. That's my objective in the next lecture. That's my objective. I want you to picture yourself that there's a possibility that you work close to the seashore. Are you okay? All right. And so how much do you know? That's a question. Are you okay? How much do you know? And then you just there, you just don't know what to do. It starts with understanding. This one is nautical charts, but it's important for you to know that nautical charts are like maps, but these maps actually capture, the water area. Are you okay? Where there's water, like a lake, a river, the sea. Are you okay? All right. So the water bodies too have to be marked, but we all know something about the water bodies that we don't want to go there. Are you okay? I've gone to the seashore. I've been to La Beach before. Well, I went with my sister. Don't think far. Are you okay? And I've been to the sea. So I've actually driven past the sea. Or anytime I come to AIT, I also see the sea. I have a view of the sea view. Okay. But there's something about all of us, including you, who is listening to me, that we don't go in the sea, do we? Most of you listening to me don't go to the sea. There's a reason, isn't it? There are always safety issues. Are you okay? And yet, why do we always want to be close to the sea? Because a larger chunk of activities that are economic activities happen around the sea area. In fact, the statistics are there. I don't want to bore you with it and get emotional about it. But there's a lot of things that need to be done at the seashore. Okay, on the area that's around the sea, the coastal area, the coastal region, that involve the use of engineers. Are you okay? And like I said, no engineering can be done without surveying. That is why you learn engineering surveying. Are you with me? And so we need to appreciate this aspect of surveying called hydrographic surveying. So the curriculum wants us to touch on it, and I'm touching on it. Are you okay? I'm touching on it. So it's important for you to know that a map like this, the chart like what you are looking at, I don't know if you're actually looking at what I'm looking at. Yes, I think you are. Definitely speaks volumes. Are you okay? So a chart like this may mean nothing to you, but may mean a lot to seafarers, to people who have to do some work around the coastal region, which gets very busy. Are you okay? Get busy, look at the harbors, yeah? We ship cars. Why do we ship cars? Cars could go on aeroplanes, I believe so. But the military always do that. They take tankers and stuff in aircrafts, and then they deliver them. Are you okay? How many can they put in there? So there's a limit. But what I know is that the containers that go in some of these vessels, and the vessels take not just one container. They take so many containers and they bring them. Every container could just contain like 5 or 6 cars. I don't know. Anybody here who's bought a car, gone to the harbor to pick a car knows what I'm talking about. The activities at the coastal region are so many. Are you okay? All right. So here you can definitely see that there are different ways that we have actually mapped, are you okay, the seashore or the coastal region. Are you okay? And then we are using all these symbols. The red symbols that are looking like balloons over here are all indicative of the direction to actually pilot, are you okay, or navigate, okay, your ship, your vessel. Are you okay? Where is a vessel? So as the vessel actually navigates through the waters, and as they come to the interface between water and land, we need to understand what happens there, right there. And there's a whole lot of construction that happens. Also, the value attached to property around the coastal regions definitely are going to be that high. And we don't want to get what we call the erosion of this area, the shore. Okay, the shoreline erosion. We don't want that. So it's important for us to appreciate even how these areas are mapped. And the way it's done is through what we call the nautical charts. Are you okay? So with the nautical charts, you can also think about some of the things you are doing at the shore area. So here you can see that this picture is speaking volumes. You can see a whole lot going on. Are you okay? There are some structures. Are you okay? We have a vessel approaching and all that, but this is just basic. Are you okay? All right. And also, our chart itself is a graphic representation of the sea area. Okay. It's a graphic representation of the sea area and adjacent coastal regions. Okay. All right. So it actually shows the depths of water and heights of land. Are you okay? All right. It's just like working with the topographic map for road design, for example. Okay. So you normally have, you know, some kind of information on the depth, how deep the ocean is. Benjamin, if you come and not unmute yourself, I'll take you off. I'm giving you the last warning. Okay. All right. So we should be able to map and get what is happening there. I'm going to end this lecture very soon. All right. So no, they should always be up to date. That's the thing about nautical charts. They should always be up to date. And so that we can actually work with the most current data. All right. So there are limitations to it, of course. As these vessels approach land and all that, you know, we could actually run into obstacles. That's the reason, the very reason why we need to map. And there's a story of this particular vessel that hits a rock on its approach, to a particular harbor, and MV Merfields, and it struck an unknown object in the Indian Ocean in waters that were charted at a depth greater than 5,000. Okay, so there's always going to be a challenge, even when you are mapping, you need to update your maps. All right. The map projection used in these nautical charts is what we call the Mercator projection. But hey, I just take it as it is. If you don't know what projection is, don't worry. I also know you don't know. Don't worry yourself, but know that there's something called projection, which is a mathematical transformation of coordinates from one surface to the other. Is okay, but please, I know your limitation. Know what you know. No, I know what you're supposed to know and what you're not supposed to. Okay, we haven't talked much about map projection and the concept, but yes, we even touched on it. There was one statement that was made, representing a 3D on a 2D surface. All right. Excuse me. Anybody that unmutes himself again, I'm going to remove you. You'll be able to join again, and I'll mark you absent. I'm saying for the last time. All right. So yes, of course, in the modern times, you have electronic and paper charts. If you have a question, you can unmute yourself. If you have a question, don't unmute yourself. It doesn't help the video that we are making. Don't forget we are making a video. All right, so that's a typical nautical chart. Are you okay? All right. And so what? Basically, nautical charts allow you to then plan, of course, to know where not to pass, where to pass. Now you see the piers. Are you okay? These are all structures that lead to the harbor area. Are you okay? Where, what are harbors? What do harbors do? So if someone say, I'm trying to harbor your attitude, you understand what I mean? It's an English expression. That really means is that he's anchoring it, he's holding it, and he's not like letting you go. Are you okay? He's not letting it have the effect it's supposed to have. So at a harbor, there's a lot of things that are coming there. Are you okay? The vessel itself can anchor. Are you okay? It can dock. So you have what they call the dry docks and all that. I'm not here to teach you that what the structures there at the shore. It would be good to know a few. But yes, we need to have an idea what nautical charts are so that we're able to, because the nautical chart to show you objects that are near the water, the interface, the shore area, the shoreline area. Are you okay? Which is the area between the interface of the water and land. Are you okay? All right. So nautical charts must be labeled with navigational and depth information. All right. Yeah. I'm skipping some stuff, some sentences on detail. All right. So there's a way all nautical charts are linked to each other. Please ignore this bit. Pilotage information is there. Okay, that's a typical one. The colors tell you what is. So obviously you can see that there's an area which is actually looking like peachish. I don't know if my colors are now working for me, but the light blue areas, if you can see that there are different shades of blue, that's also indicate depth information. Okay, there's land, there's water, and they are varying depths. And safety information is even key. There's something called buoyancy. There are buoys, something you see on the water that tells you that there's a danger. Are you okay? Can't be there. So yeah, I won't go. You don't have to worry about all this, but there are different ways of measuring depth. Are you okay? As someone who is learning engineering surveying, if someone asks you a question about hydrographic surveying, they want you to know if you have the basic idea. All right, so don't be totally ignorant. At the same time, don't go deeper than you need to. All right, so yeah, you can measure height in terms of feet or fathoms. Are you okay? So if someone tell you, I can't fathom what you're saying, means you can't get to the level where you are now, hoping that you are at a certain, everything is working fine for you. That contour lines can also, so the same way we draw contour lines on land, we can also have contour lines that show values which are actually going down below mean sea level, isn't it? But the mean sea level then become relative. Okay, in this case, we may be referring to another level, not necessarily mean sea level. There are different reference levels when it comes to hydrographic surveying. All right, so we can even talk about high astronomical tide. That's another level that people who have finished GSS may not know or cannot relate to. Is okay, but don't worry yourself too much about it. But the reason that we want to appreciate the nautical chart is that we should be able to understand what is happening and then to see how we can mitigate, okay, and work within that coastal area or the coastal region. Is okay. Coastal management is defense against flooding and erosion and techniques that stop erosion to claim lands. All right. So sea level rise has become like a current topic that people are talking about, sea level rise. That they see, some say it's political, some say no, it's due to the melting ice caps and the global warming, a whole lot. There's been meetings that have been held, okay, and they all come to certain conclusion that pollution is on the ascendancy. So, because when we have the erosion, okay, of this area, okay, of the land, so we're talking about sea erosion. It came on TV. I mean, I think the Keta area or particular, yeah, coastal town, village or town, you know, that the whole town is being washed away. And I was like, you guys just move into, you know, that's the first thought that comes, that why are you staying there for? Because when I look around, I don't see anything happening. So just move in there. But obviously it means a lot to those people who don't have anything to even sustain them, looking at the current economic situations. So coastal management is important. Where are they going to go to? If their whole town gets washed away by water, where are they going to go to? So we call that, you know, erosion. Are you okay? Sea erosion. Coastal zones occupy, this is a fact I talked about earlier, but let me not waste time on that. It's a very important area. A lot of revenue is generated from that area. Even where revenue is not being generated, probably the people that live there in the coastal area are actually fishermen who are going to just get you that sweet salmon or whatever that you are eating, isn't it? I remember when they reported that some dolphins have been poisoned and washed ashore, you know? And then there were a group of people that thought, no, they were not poisoned. We can just eat them. Anyway, so you need to be able to map what we call the shoreline. When it comes to erosion, it's relative. In front of your house, you may see some places that are eroded. Are you okay? But you see, when it comes to the sea eroding land, you wouldn't know until someone tells you what was there some years back. You will never know. So you need to map what we call the shoreline, which is the interface between land and water. It's an area, it's not a line. Shoreline mapping. So generally the coast comprises the interface between land and sea, and the shoreline is represented by the margin between the two. Are you okay? Investigators adopt the use of shoreline indicators to represent the true shoreline position. Shoreline indicator is what tells, okay, what is the actual shoreline? Are you okay? So indicators may be morphological features. You can use a beam, crest, scarp. These are terms, I'm not even asking you to go and look for them, but you're interested, go and read it. Vegetation line, that one we can relate to it. Vegetation line. If the vegetation line is not there, you'll be thinking that means that the sea is there, actually there. It's actually coming to that point. All right, that's one way. Because you see, when you go to the beach, the white sand you are seeing, it's actually erosion taking place. Yeah, but human beings, we don't think right. It's actually erosion taking place right there. Okay, so shoreline indicators, they help you. High water mark and all these things. I said, don't worry yourself about them. Are you okay? You don't have to know about the details of what a high water mark is. Mean high water, don't worry yourself about. But see them as different levels that we can measure, because the mean sea level is like an average over 10 years or so plus that we've measured. Okay, and it varies. The mean sea level is a day two that we can measure from. So all heights measured on land are with reference to the level of the sea. Can you imagine that? We human beings, we couldn't even find a better way to do this. All right, let's move on. That's it, we're done. So today's lecture, I told you that we'll finish early, and if you have a question, ask. This is all I want you to know when it comes to hydrographic surveying. We won't go any deeper than that. It was just a touch. So we touched on GIS and we touched on hydrographic surveying, okay? And we realized that there is a need for an engineer to know that engineering doesn't have to be defined by you. You're not the one who defines engineering to be some road construction. It goes beyond that, even to water bodies. So I was talking a lot about the sea erosion, yeah, important. But what if you have to do some calculation? Are you okay? Do some construction around where there's a water body, and it's not a sea, it's some kind of lake or something like that. Then you have to appreciate how things work on water. Are you okay? The depth of water can be represented just like the height above mean sea level for contouring. Is that okay? So we will end here. God willing, our next lecture. So I'm going to take attendance. All of you switch on your mic so that I can mark you. And switch on your video. Sorry about that. Not mic. Let me pause the recording. Let me start.